Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint for yet another soft cover book launch. I'm Rohit Sharma, Senior Editor, and we are here today to launch the book Hitman, the Rohit Sharma story, with its authors, Mr. Vijay Lokapally. Sir, if you could just say hello.
Hello, Shreyas.
And Mr. G. Krishnan from Mumbai.
Okay. Hello.
The authors are senior cricket journalists, both of whom have extensive experience of covering this sport for many, many decades. And this book has been published by Bloomsbury India. So, gentlemen, without going any further, let's first unveil your book, which I have nicely wrapped up over here. If you could hold up your copies as well, gentlemen. This is the book.
Yes.
Hitman, the Rohit Sharma story, by Vijay Lokapally and G. Krishnan, published by Bloomsbury India. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This is Mr. Lokapally's fifth book, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And Mr. Krishnan, this is your first, I believe.
That's right, yes.
So congratulations to you both. And so my first question directly would be that why have you written this book now? And how did you execute it in the midst of the lockdown across the world?
I think the pandemic had to be used for some constructive purpose, and the publishers were very keen to have a book on an icon who deserved a book. He was doing well, exceptionally well in all formats, especially the one day and T20, and then IPL was a big platform for him. And with the IPL coming, they were keen that if we could time it with the final or maybe after the final, and it just so happened that it coincided with the final IPL, Mumbai Indians winning the title, Rohit Sharma holding the trophy, and then I had the best man as the co-author because Jiku, as I call him, I've known him for many, many years, a very, very hardworking and a very sincere journalist who used to be with Deccan Herald. That's when I knew him. And I thought no better person than Jiku to help with this book. So it's his hard work, I must tell you, very, very hard work. And he is the one who kept me going. So now I think we should listen to Jiku on this.
Sure, Mr. Krishnan.
Yeah, I am first of all very thankful to Mr. Lokapally. I always like to call him Mr. Lokapally, though he says why Mr. at the start. But that is the kind of respect I know for somebody who's seen cricket all over the world over at least 4 decades. So it is not a makeup that I call him Mr., but it just comes out naturally, out of respect and out of admiration for him. Somebody whom I grew up watching, reading Sports Star and the Hindu violence of Vijay Lokapally, then G. Vishwanath, R. Mohan, of course. And to be associated with him, to receive a call from Mr. Lokapally I think it was February or March this year. And when he said that he had this book in mind and he wanted me to be a part of this book, I don't know what to say except that thank you for just believing in me and having the faith in me. And I took it up. It was just an opportunity, an honor. I've only been reading books written by so many people, but now to see my name on the cover of a book, there is no better feeling. I even mentioned somewhere that it was just the experience, the feeling of holding the book is just something similar to holding your baby. The day your child is born, you're holding it for the first time. I just couldn't. I'm very thankful to Mr. Lokapally for having this, and of course the publishers for believing in me, for whatever experience I have gained over the years in seeing Rohit or following cricket and other sports, mainly cricket. So yeah, and of course, no better way to use the lockdown than to go into the life of somebody who you have followed for many years and to get into the inside of his life, how he began, how he grew up, who all were had influence on his career, who guided him through to where he is. So yeah, that's how it is. It has been a very fantastic period that I used the lockdown for, and so here we are. Thank you.
In fact, if I may say so about Mr. Lokapally, I know he'll scold me later for embarrassing him on camera, but Mr. Lokapally is that rare journalist who I have seen with my own eyes. I used to be a sports journalist. I have seen cricketers touch his feet on the sidelines, and he just has that sort of that reputation, and that the cricketers know how much of an expert he is, and they trust his judgment. And Mr. Lokapally, coming back to you, I know you're going to scold me later, but you mentioned Rohit winning another IPL title for the Mumbai Indians. This is his sixth title and fifth as captain of Mumbai Indians. So that makes him the most successful player ever in the Indian Premier League, even more than MS Dhoni. What is it about Rohit Sharma that just works in the IPL, which just works with the Mumbai Indians and works in terms of being the player and the captain that he has become?
I think it is Rohit's work ethics, no doubt, plus the combination of the team. I mean, you look at Mumbai Indians, it has no weak factor. Batting, bowling, fielding, captain, franchisee. And in the franchise, I think they have backed him. So that matters a lot, right from the auction table to the time when he lifts the trophy. And for Rohit, his own faith, his own belief, how he backs himself, how he makes runs at very critical stages. He is a complete leader and very, very affable when it comes to teammates. If you see somebody would have misfielded, he'll smile. Somebody would have considered a boundary at a wrong time, he'll just smile. So he accepts as things are. He takes every match. It is not easy to say you take it match by match, but he takes it match by match. And to me, I think among the professional cricketers, he is very, very good in terms of accomplishments, in terms of technique required in a test match, technique required in a T20 match. People talk of him as an unfit player, which is very unfair, because if he's unfit and if he's delivering so much, my God, what he would have achieved if he was a supremely fit athlete. That is a very unfair judgment to make on Rohit. To me, he is as good an athlete as anyone as far as he's winning the matches for us, for India and for Mumbai Indians.
Mr. Krishnan, same question.
Yeah, continuing from where Mr. Lokapally left, no, it is a lot of factors. First of all, the support of the team owners and the faith they had in him. Now, right when after he finished with the Deccan Chargers, they looked at him as probably some bright future in Rohit. That they have got him in the 2010 auction, and they groomed him. And who better than to have Sachin Tendulkar and Anil Kumble in the dressing room to groom a player who you look at as a future captain. And though the captaincy came 3 years later when he joined, when it was in 2013, and Ricky Ponting stepped aside and identified Rohit as the captain for the future. He has not disappointed anyone, and it also is that the fact that the faith he has in his players, how much he backs them to the core. Even for example, Ishan Kishan has gone on record saying the faith that he has. Rahul Chahar in his first season with Mumbai Indians, the Nitish Rana, all those youngsters who have come, of course, Bumrah and Hardik Pandya, how much he has backed the youngsters, the newcomers to the core. Even if they give runs, he doesn't mind. He knows what they are capable of. So it is just that his backing of the players, and the players with the faith that the captain has in them, they want to give more than 100%, because just to justify the faith that the captain has in them. So they want to give their all for the success of the team. And of course, winning is the main goal, but individual performances go on to make a team so successful. And Mumbai Indians have, under Rohit Sharma, proved that they have been a top-class team over the years.
So both of you mentioned a few, not just effusive praise from you as observers and experts of cricket, writers of cricket, but also a few legends who have backed him. And throughout your book, there are many references to many legends, Indian legends, like Kapil Dev saying that he absolutely adores Rohit Sharma's batting. Tendulkar has backed him so much. all these legends talking so highly of him. I must confess here to be a skeptic, because Rohit Sharma is one of those people who has oodles of talent, but he's always disappointed. At least that was my impression of him long ago, that he has always disappointed in terms of his consistency. And this is also a factor that you talk about in your book. Convince me that Rohit Sharma is all that you make him out to be. Mr. Krishnan, starting with you first.
I also had the same feeling that when he gets set to a big score, he just throws it away. And he has done it n number of times. Now, take, for example, just the opportunities that he has got in the limited tests that he has played in Australia. And now I'm very glad that he was included in the test squad after all those talks about him not being included in the first selection. But then he proved himself that he was good, and he is now in at least the test squad for the upcoming Australia series. So considering that the number of limited chances he has got only in Australia in tests, he has got starts like 30s and 40s, but he has not converted into big scores. And we have often seen him in limited overs that he has thrown away when he has got good starts. And and even his coach Dinesh Lad, he was also talking to him for this book. He has also said how many times that he has thrown away his chances, and so that is what he has noted. But then we consider him as a careless batsman when it comes to this. But he has got so much of talent in abundance that we just feel why he's doing this every now and then. And this I see in the current players, somebody like Shreyas Iyer or Surya Kumar Yadav, who are so immensely talented that we just feel that they are just throwing away their opportunities when it comes to when they are not converting their good starts into big scores, which Rohit Sharma did initially, but then he has learned from his mistakes and working hard on the nets. So he has probably made up for those lost opportunities.
Mr. Lokapally, I will ask you the same question in a different way. So you and I have both seen Virender Sehwag, for example, very closely. And with Sehwag came that package that he's going to throw it away sometimes, but the days he comes off, he's going to be the world's best batsman. Is Rohit an extension of that, a more technically sound version of that, a more Bombay version of that?
Shreyas, I will not agree with you on one point that when you talk of technique, it is people have this wrong assumption about Sehwag that he was technically a bit shaky. He was not. He had a very good defense and he had a very good hand-eye coordination. So he could convert a very good ball into a very ordinary ball.
Fair point. I stand corrected, sir. I stand corrected.
No, it's not that. You can definitely disagree. And when it comes to Rohit, he also has a good defense. He has a very good temperament. He has a fantastic range of shots. And if you see, he also is just like Sehwag, the kind of batsman who will convert an excellent delivery into a very ordinary delivery with just a little push, or maybe he'll play the pull shot, which very few in this game can play, like Rohit. And yes, my only complaint against Rohit would be that he has done grave injustice to his awesome talent. Whenever he retires and he reflects, he will definitely feel bad about occasions when he got out, when he had the opposition at his mercy. And, he could have just slaughtered the bowling, but he would have just thrown away his wicket after a couple of outstanding shots. More than outstanding, I think astounding shots, because his stroke play is amazing. And yeah, we can always hold it against him, but then that's the kind of player he is. If you see, I remember watching his first 50-over innings in Udaipur, amazing assault on North Zone bowlers. And then his debut 100 at Eden Gardens. I mean, how he constructed and how he paced this innings. So he has the makings of an all-round batsman, and he could have also developed his bowling. But I will have no complaints against him. Only one, that he has often, like Krishnan says, thrown away his wicket when he could have gone on to make another 50, 60, 80, 100 runs.
A little bit like Lakshman was in the period right after his 281 at Eden Gardens, where he was getting those 30s and 40s but throwing it away. But then he reinvented himself as a much more consistent batsman towards the later part of his career. We'll come to the Australia tour that both of you mentioned, that Mr. Krishnan mentioned a bit later. But Vijay sir, going back to origins, he mentioned, Krishnan sir mentioned Dinesh Lad, the coach of Rohit Sharma. He has a chapter in your book all to himself. And Mr. Lad is somebody who has produced other India-worthy cricketers before. So what is that coach all about? And how has he shaped who Rohit Sharma became? And why has he not been able to correct the mistakes that Rohit makes?
See, it is, just remember, coach has a very important role. Like in the case of, say, Tarak Sinha, you know him very well in Delhi. Up to a point, the coach will take him. And then the player comes back to him for mental support, a kind of support when he's not doing well. Same with Virat Kohli, who comes back to Rajkumar Sharma, not for technical assistance, but a little things here and there. Right. Similarly, Dinesh Lad has been his coach from the school days. So for him, it is very difficult he can off and on definitely tell Rohit that this is what you are doing wrong or this is what you are doing right. But ultimately, Rohit also has to listen to the batting coach in the Indian team. So he has to go by what the tactics they have planned. The batting coach may have told him to go and hit. And how do we know? I mean, outside we'll say, he should have been defending. Why is he playing these shots? So a lot of factors. But Lad has been a very dedicated man, and Jiku knows him very, very well. I mean, I think Jiku should throw some light on this.
I'll actually ask him again a slightly different question, which will include what we want him to say about Mr. Lad. But Mr. Krishnan, you talk, and this came as a revelation for me. The book talks about Rohit Sharma coming from very, very humble origins, where his family couldn't afford to send him, to admit him to a school, and he had to get a free ship. He was admitted to the school without having to pay any tuition fees. So, Mr. Krishnan, talk about that and talk about Mr. Lad's, the coach's role in shaping Rohit Sharma from where he came from in Dombivli to Borivali and then on to the Mumbai team and so on.
That's right. So Dombivli and Borivali are entirely different suburbs. Dombivli falls in the central line and Borivali comes in the western line, and there's a lot of distance to be covered. So to play cricket, he went to his uncle's house, left his parents' house, and in Dombivli, and came to Borivali, where he was in a school where the fees was around 50 rupees or something, and which they had great difficulty in paying. And for when Lad saw him in trials or in some inter club competition or somewhere, so he found the talent in him. Though he did not bat in that match, he says he saw him bowl 2 overs and he was so impressed with his bowling, his action, and everything that went with an off spinner. So he immediately wanted Rohit to play for his club, which is the Borivali Sports and Cultural Association. So when he called him aside to talk to his parents, he said his parents weren't there, but his uncle was there to watch that match. So then he said, "No, okay, I'll take you to my school, which is now the famous Vivekananda school, Swami Vivekananda school." So he wanted him to play for his. So he was also starting his coaching academy at the school then. So he wanted to. He was gathering all the students and getting the parents to get their wards join the academy for better coaching. So when he asked Rohit and his uncle, they said it is. And first they asked him for how much was the fees, and when he said it was around 275, 300, they said, "Thank you, we cannot afford so much." But considering the talent that Rohit had, Dinesh did not want to let go of him. So he approached the school director and got the free ship, and all those things happened. And it was just the talent that Dinesh Lad saw in Rohit that he didn't want to lose such a talent. And if not for that free ship, we wouldn't have got Rohit, or we wouldn't know what would have happened to Rohit and his cricketing career. And he also says a lot about his talent in terms of how he didn't give him batting in the nets for 1 full year at the academy. And one fine morning, though Rohit loved batting, he used to bat before the nets. And one fine morning, he was entering the school and he saw a young lad bat brilliantly. Then when he approached, he saw it was Rohit. And then he asked him, "No, so do you like batting Kerega?" And he said, "Yes, I'd love to." So from then on, he gave him batting at the nets regularly. So that's how. And then he got the runs consistently, and he became a name to reckon with, at least in the school circles. So that's the role that Dinesh Lad has played, and he would even though he worked in office Central Railway, they would go. Rohit would go to school, come back early, get permission from his school principal, and call Lad to get him to the nets early in the evening. So that happened every day of the week, is what Lad told in that book. So that's the kind of dedication, that's the kind of practice that Rohit wanted to put in his game to come up the ranks.
Right, we're talking to the authors of the book Hitman, the Rohit Sharma story. We have Vijay Lokapally and G. Krishnan, very senior journalists with us. So another thing that the book taught me about Rohit Sharma, which I didn't know, was that he had actually begun life as an opening batsman. I used to think, and I was wrong, that he was a middle order batsman who had converted himself into an opener. But it turns out that he was an opening batsman. Mr. Krishnan, if you'd like to address that.
Yes, he in fact, for schools, he batted somewhere in the middle. And it was not that he was always an opener right from the beginning. So Lad says that he started in the middle. He was a top order batsman. Though even in the age group competitions for Mumbai or for West Zone, he batted somewhere in the middle order. And when he got one chance to open, I think it was in the West Zone tournament or somewhere, or it must have been number 3. So he scored runs. So that's where he started to accomplish himself as a top order batsman. And though he didn't open even for Mumbai, and he has always been a middle order batsman, but he had the makes of a top order batsman. He was one who was always willing to bat at any position. So now we hear people saying, "No, I'm ready." No, cricketers often say, "I'm ready to bat wherever the team wants me." It's an often quoted phrase nowadays. But Rohit genuinely wanted to bat wherever the team wanted, even in the school days. So be it in the middle order, be it at number 4, number 5, number 3. So he was ready to do that. And such was his talent that he would score consistently whenever given the opportunity. And there was a phase where he was in the West Zone team, or was it in the West Zone tournament for Mumbai, age group under 15, that he did not get a chance. He was in the squad, but he did not get to play. And he became frustrated that every evening he would call from wherever he was, say Baroda or wherever the team was, call Dinesh Lad and tell him, "No, I want to play. They're not giving me a chance." But the role of the coach comes very important here. No, he has to keep this guy motivated. So he keeps telling, your turn will come. Don't lose patience. So whenever your turn comes, you prove yourself. So finally, one opportunity came, and I believe he scored 120 plus or something in that match. And so that's the kind of motivation that even the Dinesh Lad kept giving his word over the phone.
Mr. Lokapally, I have a relatively linked question, which is that there is a mention in the book about how Rohit is not your typical Bombay school of batting batsman. What probably on the grounds is called Khadus style of batting. He's a much more free-flowing player rather than an accumulator, which Mumbai kids are taught to be. Talk about that. Why has Rohit Sharma been so far of an outlier to that school of batting?
Shreyas, don't you think there much has been made of this Khadus thing of Bombay batting? I mean, you look at Vengsarkar, he was not Khadus, wonderful stroke player. You look at Ajit Wadekar, right? And you look at Tendulkar, he's not Khadus. He's such a delight to watch. Mr. Gavaskar. Khadus is somebody who will not throw his wicket, who will not gift his wicket away, right? So there is so much this Khadus thing about Bombay cricket. I mean, we had the great Mohindra Amarnath. You couldn't get him out for 2 days. Yashpal Sharma, right? All they were also no less Khadus. So the only thing is, Rohit is, he maybe doesn't believe in building an innings like a Bombay cricketer from the old school who would even, if there was a need be, he will bat a half volley because it's a first ball. No. Now, the Bombay batsmen, there are no more Khadus Bombay batsmen because they come and play their shots. That's how the game is played. You have to be very proactive, very, as they call, very positive. I don't know if there is a negative batsman in the crease ever. You will only go in more positivity. So, Rohit is a very pleasant departure from what we have known, not just in Bombay, not just in Mumbai, other places also. He's one who likes to get on with the game, who likes to dominate. If you see in the good old times, batsmen from Mumbai used to love to dominate, and they would kill the opposition if they were set. They didn't. You just couldn't get them out because they put such high value to their wicket, such high price. That is what Rohit does. It is unfortunate that these days you don't get to see him much in domestic cricket. Otherwise, he would. There would be so much for bowlers to learn when they're bowling to Rohit. It's not very easy to bowl to him because when he's set, nothing works on him. So to me, Rohit is as good or as khadus or not as khadus as any of these former Mumbai cricketers. And it is high time, I think, Shreyas, you, I, and Zico should put an end to this khadus business of Bombay.
If I can add to this, if I can add Shreyas to this, I agree. So much has been made about khadus and Mumbai batting that we don't see any more of those khadus type of batting nowadays. And it is shown in the results that Mumbai has been having the last few years, not winning a title and sometimes not qualifying for even the semi-finals. So Rohit and Khadus, if Rohit had that Khadus attitude, would we have seen the double centuries in ODIs from him?
Definitely not.
Or even if he was Khadus and he has gone on to score a century, would he have converted into a double century? Right. Definitely not. Khadus is, from what I have understood, coming from South and trying to understand the cricketing language in Mumbai since 2005 when I shifted to Bombay. So for me, I understand it as playing along the ground, not lifting in the air and those kind of things. But Rohit and him not lifting in the air, no way. First ball, if it is there to be hit, he'll go for it. So definitely not a Khadus cricketer. And yes, we have to put an end to this Khadus and Mumbai batting.
Well, there we are. Cricket fans who are watching this, no more Khadus references. Otherwise, these two gentlemen will come after you. Right. Moving on now, we said that we will be speaking about the Australia tour now. And obviously, that is the next big thing that Indian cricket fans are awaiting. Even Australian cricket fans are awaiting. Gentlemen, obviously in white ball cricket, it can go either way. India is a strong enough team and has a strong enough bowling lineup to outlast the Australians on their soil. But let's come straight to the test series in which Rohit will be taking part. First of all, the injury concern. Mr. Krishnan, I'll come to you first. First of all, Rohit's injury concerns in the IPL, and will he play in the test series? Will he not play? Will he play the final? Will not play? He played in the playoffs. So is he fit enough, and will he be fit enough for the test series? And secondly, with Virat coming back on paternity leave after the first test, do you think that the captaincy is up for grabs, or do you think that it will be the vice captain Rahane who will have that?
Right, yes. So first of all, like I said before, I'm very happy that Rohit is in the test squad. He should have been in the test squad in the first place. Though the test follows the limited overs and the first test doesn't start until December 17. When the selectors made put together the teams, he should have been in the first place in the test squad at least, I thought. So he has now enough time to recover, even if he is not fully 100% fit. And he proved that he was fit enough by playing the last league match and then the playoff and the final. Though we could not see much of his fitness in the first two innings or after his comeback. He fell cheaply for single-digit scores. He proved that nothing was wrong with his hamstring by playing that to match-winning half century in the final. And observing, following on TV, I saw him run after the ball, even dive full length in the infield. So he must have been fit enough, and there were no signs of any difficulty. Even though he has any difficulty or is carrying any niggle, he has enough time to recover before December 17th. So I'm sure Rohit will play a very crucial role in India's test campaign. And he has had a good record in tests, though it was not extraordinary, which he could have had extraordinary figures considering, if he had not thrown away his wicket and gone on to convert his starts into big scores. But now that he has probably learned from his mistakes and worked on his shortcomings, Rohit will, and his experience will be immensely needed in Australia. Considering that Virat will be coming after the first test match, Rohit's experience will matter a lot. Though he has not, he must have learned from his past mistakes, and he has come back into Test cricket last year as an opener, and he has scored tons and tons of runs. Though he didn't have a great series against Bangladesh, he is one whose experience will matter a lot. He has the experience of playing in Australia in many series. He has toured Australia for tests on 2 earlier series. So all this will matter a lot, especially when the experience of Virat will not be there from the second test. So, and when you ask about should Rohit be the captain, I think they have Ajinkya Rahane as the vice captain. It will be unfair to promote Rohit from nowhere to a test to test captaincy. And the limited chances that Rahane has led India in Kohli's absence, he has 100% successful record. And of course, Rohit's experience will always, Rahane can always go back to Rohit's experience and get ideas from the seniors, to take decisions. So whether the test captaincy is given to Rohit or not, it should not matter. Just his presence on the field, in the playing 11, in test matches will matter a lot.
Mr. Lokapally, I'll come to you. Technically, obviously on the hard bouncy pitches of Australia, Rohit Sharma with his back foot, with his very strong back foot play, his cuts and pulls, he is going to be technically equipped to play over there. But given the condition with Virat coming back and therefore being there being a middle order slot open, and there Mayank and Rahul also in the team, do you think that he'll slot in at the opening position, or will he be brought in the middle order in this upcoming series?
Shreyas, to begin with, he has to be fit, right? Because I'll slightly disagree with my colleague G. Krishnan. He was not fit at the IPL. He didn't go to Australia because he was not fit. Right. If he has opted to play, it was at a big risk. And fielding at mid-on, he didn't have to do much. And in any case, he was hitting boundaries. So it was a tough decision he made for the sake of the franchisee. And it was a risk when Ravi Shastri and Saurav Ganguly had told him not to.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So one, in Australia, whenever he gets to play, first of all, he will have to declare himself completely fit. He will have to undergo all those fitness tests before he goes to Australia. And then he will have to, you have KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal as openers who have been in form. So right. You will need Rohit in the middle order. There is a very important place for him in the middle order because he should be there when the second new ball comes.
Right.
Right. You will have to have a player who can face the second new ball. Absolutely. And he's the one who can tear into the Australian attack with his stroke play off the back foot. And he has all the shots. He's able to play the pull which has comfort. So I'll prefer Rohit in the middle order.
Right. Mr. Krishnan, anything to add to that?
I would go by what where did Rohit play in his last test match? He opened with Mayank Agarwal, right? So why break that combination? And they have had some good partnerships against South Africa at home, though the conditions will not be similar to what it is in India. So why break that opening combination when they have had some understanding? They had at least two big century partnership against South Africa as an opening combination. He scored his double century against South Africa. So, and of course, you can have Rahul somewhere in the middle order. If you have to, you cannot keep KL Rahul out of the 11 for the kind of form that he is in. So okay. Rohit, for me, it would be Rohit and Mayank at the top of the order, and Rahul can be that floating batsman who has proved himself at the top of the order as also in the middle. So he could be somewhere he could also play the role of he could be there to take on the second new ball, like Mr. Lokapally says. Not necessarily that Rohit has to be there for the second new ball. KL Rahul is equally good to do that job.
So you're just going to flip the two, basically same role, but Rohit does that with the new ball and Rahul with the second new ball.
But Krishna,
that would be my personal choice. Yeah.
No, but you have to replace Virat if you want to replace with KL Rahul, or you want to replace with Rohit Sharma. You want solidity. You want experience. So I think with the experience which Rohit brings in, to me, he will be the floating batsman, not KL Rahul. Because KL Rahul has to prove himself at the test matches. He's been scoring here. But Rohit's experience will be very, very crucial in the middle order. If the middle order is blown away, your test match is gone. I mean, the innings is gone. So we'll have a big debate on this after the show.
Right. Absolutely. Now, Vijay sir, I'll come back to you on this. That we mentioned the captaincy, but Gautam Gambhir has come out and said that Rohit should be captain of the limited overs at least. There are a lot of people who have actually said that. Do you? I can see from your face that you don't like the idea of split captaincy. What are your thoughts on what Gambhir has said?
No, you may have split captaincy, no harm. But do we have the system? We will have to include so many factors when you have two captains. You want Rohit to play under Virat in a test match and Virat to play under Rohit in a one-day match. When, both have been there for so long, both are very senior, experienced players. And so Gautam Gambhir has a very valid point. If he says it will reduce the responsibility with so much of cricket being played. But I think Virat is good enough to be a captain in all the three formats, and he has been doing it very successfully and he has the what should I say, the aura to command respect, in all three formats, and he's performing in all three formats. So I don't know why Rohit is very good at IPL, but remember it is very different to be a captain in IPL and different when you're playing bilateral series. There are so many other factors, and time doesn't allow me to discuss all that. But I don't want. I don't think this is the right time to have split captaincy.
Mr. Krishnan, to extend Mr. Lokapally's answer, that Rohit Sharma it might not be the most comfortable situation for Rohit and Virat to play under each other, but you have a section in the book where you're talking about how much he has matured as an individual, as a person, how much his wife, Ritika Sachdev, has contributed to grounding him in a way. And now he has a daughter as well. Do you think that this 30-plus version of Rohit will be able to take that, not becoming a captain, in a better way than he would have previously?
First of all, why can't Kohli play under Rohit? We have seen in the past Gavaskar playing under Kapil Dev playing under Gavaskar. So this has happened in the past, but though we didn't have a system where we had a captain only for the limited overs and a separate captain for the test. That has not happened in India, though for a brief while when the test seniors were on their way out, Dhoni was the limited overs captain before he became a full-time captain.
Right.
So my thing is, why not try it for some time? Of course, from the limited chances in Kohli's absence that Rohit has led, he has had success. His success rate is very high. So why not give it a chance, right? And it's not just like that he has won 5 IPL titles with one particular team as a captain. So there must be something in him about captaincy and things which may work with Rohit as a captain, which may not have worked with Virat as a captain. I'm not saying Virat is a bad captain. He has definitely got the team to a different level, unimaginable level, especially in terms of fitness and running between wickets, which full credit has to go to Virat Kohli. But why not give it a chance? When people talk about Virat not winning a single major title, limited overs title, though he has guided that team to test number 1 rankings. So why not give it a chance? And of course, they say batsmen mature; they are their best when they are in their 30s. And Rohit, with this kind of support system around him, will be much matured. He is much matured that these things should not matter to him at all. It should not bother him. For him, it is just playing for India, playing for his country is what matters most. Whether he is a captain, whether he is not a captain, it shouldn't matter. If it happens, it happens. That is the way he approaches, and with the kind of support that he has, like his wife, who his best friend Abhishek Nair has said, the best thing ever to have happened to Rohit, and he talks a lot on a lot of other subjects than just cricket, which he was doing earlier, according to Abhishek Nair. Now he can talk on any subject under the sun. So that's the kind of change that his wife has brought in him. So probably he is a well-rounded person that he is now than he was.
Final couple of questions. Vijay sir, you want to say something?
No, I just want to add that please remember, it is not one individual who wins the title. It is a team effort, right? So if the title was not won, it was not won by India, not Virat Kohli, right? Virat did his best. He was doing all the best all the time, carrying a team on his shoulders at many times in all over the world, right? So it is. I mean, the same Virat Kohli for the first time, India won a test series in Australia, right?
Right.
So we have had many great captains going to Australia before that. But so please remember, I'm all for this split captaincy. Let Rohit lead, but please don't put one individual as the reason for not winning a title. It's the team which wins the title. It is the team which loses the title, not the captain.
Right. Right, Mr. Lokapally, staying with you, you are on first name basis with most players in the Indian team. You're very close to them. You have many conversations with them. Give us an insight into what they think of Rohit Sharma, the teammate, the dressing room guy.
Oh, they're all very fond of him, and not just now, right from the beginning. And Tendulkar has been his biggest fan from the first season. Believe me, he has a lot of time for him. And Virender Sehwag, Harbhajan Singh, Zaid Khan, you ask them, bowlers who have bowled to him, they say it's very difficult. With minimal footwork, he can kill the ball. So it is very difficult to find such batsmen, bowl to such batsmen. And he has been very friendly with all of them. He's a very smiling, jolly guy. If you see his very game, his batting suggests his character, happy-go-lucky.
Right.
He wants to get on with it. So I think Rohit is one of the most wonderful, lovable cricketers in world cricket today. And definitely in this team where he gives such strength with his character at the crease. I mean, when he's there is such assurance of the innings, that he will carry it on his shoulders. Same what Sehwag brought, what Sachin brought. Dravid himself is a big fan of Rohit.
Right.
Yeah, so I think the closest would be to me in terms of if we have to compare and enjoy Rohit on one screen and the other screen, I would love to see VVS Lakshman and how the jugalbandi between them at the crease. Lakshman at one end and Rohit at one end and the bowlers weeping.
That would be high art. That would be Venetian art.
Yes.
Mr. Krishnan, in Mumbai cricket circles, how is Rohit perceived? Is he seen as somebody approachable if youngsters want any advice in Mumbai cricket setup and Mumbai Indians?
From what I understand, he is easily approachable. No, he doesn't carry himself as I'm the captain of 5-time winning Mumbai Indians team. No, you can't approach me without appointment. He's cool. Whether it just happened that he happens to be the captain of a winning franchisee, but he's easily approachable. Even the youngsters don't hesitate to go to him. Say like someone like Prithvi Shaw or now of course Siddesh Lad has been playing school cricket with him. But then the youngsters, a newcomer or like Shivam Dubey, they all approach Rohit for anything, and he's also available. And he is one who's a very lively character from what I understand. No, he even if he scores a duck and he's in the dressing room and the team is in such very bad situation, he makes the atmosphere lively, like cracking jokes, and there is no point in just brooding over say a situation of none for that Mumbai were in the Ranji Trophy semi-final in Baroda many years ago. So there was this story that Abhishek Nair, who has known him very closely and been shared the dressing room with him, he tells about the team being 0 for 4 in that situation. Rohit was out for 6 in the first innings, 0 for 0 in the second inning, and the team is. You cannot expect a team to bounce back from 0 for 4. And Rohit in the dressing room was cracking jokes and making it a lively atmosphere. And there was this tense coach Praveen Amre who says, "Arey kya kar raha hai? Dekho score, dekho mazak kya kar raha hai." But what can you do? No, that is what the Rohit is. And the team bounced back from that and went on to win the semi-final and then the final. This was in 2007-8. So that's the kind of person that Rohit is, cracking jokes and being very, even in tense situations, he makes the dressing room atmosphere very lively. And he is somebody who gives the confidence to the players, which he has been even doing from the under-19 days, that I understand from my chats with Manoj Tiwari for this book. So that's what he is, a lively, happy-go-lucky, like Mr. Lokapally said about Rohit. So these are the kind of characters we need in the dressing room to ease the atmosphere, not just be very worked up, be tensed when things are not going your way. So that's what Rohit is.
Vijay sir, yeah.
Yes, I want to add one more big fan of Rohit Sharma, that is Mohammad Azharuddin. I mean,
Right.
he never misses innings, and he looks at Rohit as a he looks a bit of himself in Rohit, the way those flicks.
With the wristy flicks and all.
Absolutely, and the drives. I mean, he says he's a fabulous driver of the ball.
So how about having, like Mr. Lokapally said, Rohit here, VVS Lakshman here, both of them, Jugalbandi and Azharuddin padded up to follow next.
Yeah, or maybe Azharuddin on the mic, I think.
I would be getting some heart attacks about that, I can tell you. Especially if we have VVS just around 2002 or 3 when he wasn't doing too well. Final thoughts on the book, gentlemen. I'll start with Krishnan sir. Any final thoughts on why the public should go and buy your book or maybe get an Amazon delivery and learn about their favorite player, Rohit Sharma?
Rohit is, the timing of the launch of the book, it could not have been better. Now, though it was written and sent to print before the 5th Mumbai Indians title was won. But this is very timely. It has almost everything that says about Rohit. Has some interesting stories about him, very interesting anecdotes on him that not many know. How he was in his school days and what all he went through. And it's a book that he's definitely one of the superstars of world cricket, and he's been a very successful cricketer. Now it's not a joke, winning 5 IPL titles as a captain and 6 titles as a player. Nobody ever has it other than him. So it throws some stories about him that not many may be aware of. Though we tried to put in the extra information about him that is otherwise not available all over the web and all the other publications. So it is. It will be nice to have a copy of Rohit Sharma and the story.
I'll give Mr. Lokapally the last word in this interview because you had said this, Mr. Krishnan, at the beginning that Mr. Lokapally has been covering cricket across the world for 4 decades. In fact, if I may put it into context, he's probably the only person I know who has watched Sobers and Ben Stokes. And that too, he was present when Sobers was still in his prime. So, Mr. Lokapally, I'd like to ask you to put this cricketer, this divisive cricketer in terms of the opinion because of his consistency, etc., but this marvelous talent, class oozing out of every pore. This guy, what does he mean to Indian cricket in the historical context? Where does he rank among the greats? Is he going to be classified as a great, or like the man who has written the foreword for this book, Yuvraj Singh, will he be a white ball great and a test match medium, I would say?
Yeah, Shreyas is already a white ball great. There is no dispute about that. He's one of the finest you would ever have. And in test matches also, he has played one of the finest innings. In domestic cricket, he has played some of the finest innings. Unfortunately, they are not recorded. But I must tell you one thing, that he was a prime subject for this book in these pandemic, depressing times, to have such a positive man to be written about. And let me tell you, a lot of effort has gone into this book. G. Krishnan has worked really very hard, and he has in fact guided me at times when we were doing this book. So let not people assume that just because I'm senior, I have more say in the book. It is as much as or as less as G. Krishnan, and I take immense pride that I share the front page with him. And Shreyas, talking about books, I think we should have more books on cricketers, on our sportsmen, because not much is written about our sportsmen other than the newspapers and what you see on the TV screen. And a book is a lifelong document, and it is hard work by the authors. It can be good book, it can be a very good book, it can be an average book. But I would only request people to appreciate the fact that two people have gone and worked hard and tried their best to present to you a fabulous cricketer like Rohit Sharma. So it is always good, and I'm sure this young generation, whole lot of young writers who are very, very talented sports journalists today will come forward and start writing books on sportsmen.
Final question for both of you, though, since you left it slightly unanswered. Will this man who graces the cover of his book in his Mumbai Indians jersey will you tell our viewers whether you think Rohit Sharma can become a top 20 all-time India Test batsman?
There will be a lot of competition for that. Maybe I'll place him in the 19th or 20th. But definitely, yes, he'll be in my top 20 Test batsman of all time.
And Mr. Lokapally, same question?
No, Shreyas, I will not put him in the top 20. Definitely not, because one, time has run out for him to make a to play. I don't know how many test matches he will get to play, depending on how many plays. If he plays 50 test matches, definitely he'll qualify. But given as of now, there are 20 much better, much accomplished test batsmen we have seen in the history of Indian cricket, and I will not belittle them because their efforts have been far more greater than Rohit, who is, let us acknowledge, he's a fantastic one-day batsman. He can be a very good test batsman, but definitely it will be tough for me to put him in the top 20.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your views on the subject of your book, that is Rohit Sharma. The book is called Hitman, the Rohit Sharma story by Vijay Lokapally and G. Krishnan, published by Bloomsbury, India. Go get a copy. And thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Lokapally, Mr. Krishnan, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. This is Shreyas Sharma saying goodbye, and thank you for watching The Print.
Thank you very much, Shreyas, for having us. It was a pleasure talking, sharing our thoughts.
Thank you, Shreyas. There was a time when I saw you enter the profession. It's such a privilege to sit here and you grill me on my book. So wonderful. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sirs.